Order, if you would, please rise. I'm going to call on Commissioner Weisenbaker for the invocation and the pledge.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for another beautiful day, Lord. And we thank you for all of our many blessings, especially the blessing of all blessing, sending your Son, Jesus Christ, so that we may have the hope of eternal life at home in heaven with you. We ask, Lord, that you preside over this meeting, that you give us all a spirit of cooperation and a positive attitude, Lord. And we pray, Lord, that you will continue to show your favor on us all. In Christ's name we pray, amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Weisenbaker.
Yes, sir.
Commissioners, inside your packet, you'll find the minutes of the work session of June the 26th, as well as your regular session minutes of June the 27th. Mr. Lovren, we had an executive session also. Do we need to approve those minutes? What, do you recall that date? That was the 26th, was it? Okay. Also, the executive meeting that we had on the 26th. So those minutes also need to be approved. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Agenda item 5A is our one appointment, and it's many appointments. Ms. Dukes?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. The terms of Mr. Dwayne Johnson, Dr. Beverly Richardson Blake, Mr. Thomas Lovett, and Dr. George Garmond have expired. Mr. Johnson, Dr. Richardson Blake, Mr. Lovett, and Mr. Garmond have all expressed a desire to serve another 3-year term. Mr. Gary Weisenbaker has served 2 3-year terms, leaving a vacant seat. Ms. Catherine Ammons and Ms. Sarah Fitzgerald have both expressed a desire to be appointed to the board. Ms. Catherine Ammons also serves as an assistant city manager for the city of Valdosta.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Dukes. Any questions for Ms. Dukes? All right, this time I'll open the floor up for nominations.
Mr. Chairman, I'll nominate Catherine Ammons,
That's to fill the seat of Mr. Gary
the
Weisenbaker.
vacant one.
Okay. All right, are there any other nominations for that seat? Okay, hearing none, I'll close the nominations for that particular seat, and Ms. Catherine Ammons will be appointed by acclamation. The others.
Mr. Chairman, I move we reappoint Dr. Dwayne Johnson, Dr. Beverly Richardson Blake, Mr. Thomas Lovett, and Dr. George Gallman.
Okay, we have those names in the form of a nomination. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll close the nominations, and those individuals will be reappointed by acclamation. Thank you, Commissioners. Agenda item 6A is our first of 2 public hearing items. The first is TXT 2023-01, and this is the ULDC text amendments. Mr. Dillard, are you going to present, or?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Dan? Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, for that, and Commissioners again. As we've discussed, these text amendments have been prepared by staff, as well as a consultant and county leadership, as well as the county attorney's office. These 7 amendments include variances increases from 1 to 2, an update to the current code list for the building inspections department, as well as fire. The Amendment 3 for the chickens to allowed in residential areas. Amendment 4, the time measurement to align with the current OCGA requirements. Amendment 5 for the enforcement clauses. Amendment 6 is the OCGA requirements of identifying applicable leadership and/or staff per OCGA, which you also recently passed a resolution for. And Amendment 7 is to align our standards with the Georgia Department of Early Care and Learning decal for daycare standards, sir. They are prepared before you now and ready for your consideration.
And those documents are in the room.
Yes, sir, they are here prepared.
Okay. All right, any questions?
Just one, Mr. Chairman, I was hoping I can get some clarification on the chickens in particular to not being allowed in conservation in this instance, I guess. if you could.
Yes, sir. Conservation zoning is typically held for most of our water resource protection floodplains areas, and there are very limited uses allowed in those zoning districts. And we felt that the use of a chicken might be environmentally unsensitive if placed in a conservation zoning district, and we excluded them from that area.
I think you're talking probably two different things. He's talking conservation from a land use versus conservation under your tax laws.
Correct.
Yeah, there's nothing, you can have chickens in that circumstance.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
That's what I was,
Okay.
okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move into the public hearing portion of the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to these amendments? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Gretchen Quarterman. I live at 6565 Quarterman Road. I'm not necessarily in objection to the amendments that we're looking at tonight, the 7 of them. I'm in objection to the process. This meeting was the first meeting where any amount of detail that I've been at has listed out, these are the 7 amendments that we're looking at. And the one that concerns me all the time is the chickens one, because I think that people that live in neighborhoods maybe want to have the opportunity to say, I really don't want chickens in my neighborhood. I'm in a neighborhood, if I wanted chickens, I would live in the country. Now, I know that a lot of people want to have chickens because eggs are expensive, and COVID showed us that we need to be a little more self-sufficient. But my issue is that at the first time this was presented in April, it was under the other business at the Planning Commission. So if anybody was looking for, oh, they're going to update the ULDC, they wouldn't know that it was another business. And I still haven't been able to find the changes on the website. I know that Jason said they're there. And when he said that there was a social media campaign, there was one notice on Facebook on the Lowndes County page. It had 2 likes and 0 shares. And it didn't list the 7 changes that were potentially going to be made. So my objection is, when we're making these changes, I really want the public to have an opportunity to have input. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition to these amendments? Anyone else that would like to speak in opposition? Okay, hearing none, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of these amendments? Anyone that would like to speak in favor? Okay, hearing none, then there should not be any rebuttal, but I will ask if there is a rebuttal to any of the comments that's been made. Are there any rebuttal? All right, hearing none, we'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting, and Commissioners, I'll turn it over to you for your consideration.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the 7 amendments that have been presented tonight.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the text amendments. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the text amendments are approved. We'll now move to agenda item 6B, and this is a rezoning case. It is REZ 2023-09. It is the South Georgia Boat and RV Storage. This involves 22 acres. It is located at 6153 Inner Perimeter Road. The request is from IS to CH, and it will have well and septic. Mr. Dillard.
Thank you, sir. Again, this request represents 22-acre change from IS, which is our highest classification for intense services. This was approved back in 2009 for a 40-megawatt biomass electric generation plant, and as that project has never come to fruition, the applicant is requesting to change to commercial highway for semi-speculative use, the first being the South Georgia Boat and RV Storage. It is within the Transportation Communications Character Area, also along the Inner Perimeter Corridor Overlay. And again, there are wetlands to the southwest of the property. Again, that conservation zoning that was noted, the floodplain of Mud Creek. You can see here the proposed, the survey of the property, 22 acres with that corridor overlay standard. And again, a view of the property from Inner Perimeter that has been cleared. Those buildings in the back are the City of Valdosta wastewater treatment plant. The TRC did review this request and had no objections, as well as the Planning Commission, who heard the request, and they recommend approval 7-0.
Any questions for Mr. Dillard? Okay, hearing none, we'll move into the public hearing portion of the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in opposition to this request? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this request? Anyone that would like to speak in favor? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting. Commissioners, I'll turn it over to you for your consideration.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7A is the Lcboc Plantation Sarah Philtech Pilot Study Proposal. Mr. Stalvey.
Yes, sir. Tech US has proposed to supply the ceramic flat membrane pilot study unit for a pilot study out of Lcboc Plantation. This will be a 90-day pilot with an optional 30-day extension if we would like to do that. The purpose of the pilot study is to determine the feasibility of removing the organics, thus lowering the disinfection byproducts to acceptable EPD levels. The cost of the pilot unit is $10,000 for the initial 90 days and an additional $3,500 if we choose that option. Staff recommends approval and authorize the chairman to sign the proposal with Sarah Tech US LLC.
Any questions for Mr. Stalvey?
Oh, yes, Mr. Chairman. Steve, how is the water out there now?
We're still having issues on those trihalomethanes and all. So this is a treatment process that will hopefully remove those organics, show that it can do that. But currently, we are a bit high on the trihalomethanes and haloacetic acids.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Do we have a motion to approve? Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7B is the purchase of 412 through 416 North Lee Street property. Mr. McLeod?
Yes, sir. Staff asks that this item be removed from the agenda.
Yes. There's been a few more difficulties with the title search, so we're just going to remove it until that can get resolved. Any objections? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to agenda item 7C, and this is the ACCG Irma Property and Liability Insurance Program Renewal. Mr. Beals.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, as we spoke about yesterday about the several economic factors that have affected the insurance industry as well as our own lives, factors that occurred in rising claim costs as well as lackluster investments and other items have forced the ACCG Irma Board to pause their dividend disbursement process, which, as you know, we have ultimately used historically to reduce our premiums each year. There has been, because of those other economic factors, an increase of about 30% in the overall cost of the property and liability insurance for the upcoming year. The ACCG has provided us with 3 different proposals to actually increase our deductible. As you know, each year we have done a comparison study in regards to our histories and seeing if there was value in us moving our deductible up. This year, I'd have to say that yes, there is value in doing that this year, and that we would like to move up to the $15,000 deductible. Also, in doing that, it'll give us an opportunity to look at our vehicle coverage, physical damage aspect. With a $15,000 deductible, we'll be taking on a little bit more of that risk. Therefore, several of our older vehicles can be removed and just move down to liability rather than also physical damage. So we're focusing on vehicles that are 2014 and older, none of the newer vehicles that are in operation at the current time. So my recommendation is if the board would move forward with a new $15,000 deductible, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions from Mr. Beals? Okay, thank you, Mr. Beals. Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we renew the property and liability insurance coverage with ACCG at the $15,000 deductible level.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 9, County Manager's Report. Ms. Dukes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Lowndes County is featured several times in the ACCG Summer 2023 Georgia County Government Magazine. The article features our agreements between Moody Air Force Base and the Quiet Pines Golf Course, as well as the other IGSAs, and then the awards won at the annual conference. So if you all see the magazine, we are front and center in 2 different locations there. The Board of Assessors also have a special call meeting on Thursday at 9 a.m. if any of you are interested in attending that. I met with Mr. Stalvey today on several things, and I would like to report that our software and meter project is moving along very well. We are still on track to have the software roll out before the end of the year. That has been the longest part of that project. Once the software is in place, as you all directed, then we'll start that meter change out, and we're prepared where that's concerned. I am extremely excited to announce that, we've talked a lot about workforce development, and we know the struggles that people are having in recruiting. Over the last 2 weeks, Lowndes County has in process 20 new employees. 19 of those have been full-time, 1 of those part-time, all into existing positions. This is going to have a positive impact on our overtime rates, certainly help the workload of our departments manage a little better. And these 20 employees have been spread across the county. Some of them are with the Sheriff's Office, other elected official offices, some of them in our Public Works and Utilities Department, Finance Department, but we are extremely excited to see that type of recruitment occurring right now with the county, and I can't help to believe that it is because of your good leadership and the employee programs that you've allowed us to put in place that the word is really getting out that we're a family here and it's a quality place to work. We are also helping sponsor the Freedom to Grow Conference. This is being organized and directed by Mr. Derek Dawson, and Mr. Dawson is the father of Mr. Josh Dawson, who is our extension agent here in town. The conference will be held at the Civic Center July 20th through 21st. Mr. Dawson is working on some farm tours. As soon as he has his schedule complete, we will get that to you all, and then this will also let you know what times they will actually be at the Civic Center. So if any of you would like to support Mr. Dawson and speak to the students that he will have included there, this is also an initiative that Commissioner Marshall encouraged us to be a part of. So thank you for that, Commissioner Marshall. I think that I speak for both Ms. Barwick and I whenever we say that it's been a lot of fun working with Mr. Dawson, and he's very passionate about agriculture and about the youth in our community, and I think that this is a program that's going to fill a gap that we're all aware of. So it's exciting to be a part of that. The last thing that I have for you this evening before an introduction is a report, an update from Mindy Bates. Mindy is our Director of Permits, Inspections, and Code Enforcement. As you know, this is our first week live with permits and inspections, and so Mindy's going to give you an update on where we are with that.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am excited to say that this has gone off pretty well. Our total applications submitted as of 4:30 this afternoon has been 44 applications submitted and processed. Of those, 26 permits have been issued. Of those 26, 7 have been completely through the process, inspected, and closed out. We've had 1 commercial permit and 26 residential permits. Everything else is in process, so we're either waiting for inspections to be requested, fees to be paid, things like that. On our very first day, we had 2 applications come in, processed through, and 2 inspections. So we were really proud that on our first day, we could make that happen and complete the entire cycle. We've registered and verified 70 contractor licenses and occupational tax registrations, which smooths the process. So when contractors are applying, they don't have to submit license numbers, anything like that. It's already done for them, and we're also working on an interface with the state database as well. We've assessed approximately $10,000 in fees. Of that, we've collected about $2,500, and there's roughly $7,200 still outstanding waiting to be paid. I pulled all of this information at about 4:30, and just before 5 o'clock, we received our first large application for commercial for a $7,500,000 warehouse coming to town. So we are working through what little bit of kinks we have found, but it's gone very well.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you,
Any questions for Ms. Bates?
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you very much.
Everything I've been hearing has been very positive,
Thank you.
so thank you.
Mr. Chairman, to say that I'm proud of Ms. Bates and her team would be an understatement. They have knocked it out of the park and will continue, and we've seen them adjust over this last week. The rest of our departments are chipping in to help them. They're front and center as far as all of our support right now, and we'll continue to move forward and make those adjustments. I do believe we missed one item on the agenda.
Lcboc.
We did. A very important one.
That's right.
Thank you. All right, well, are you finished with yours?
No, sir, the only thing that
Okay.
I have is, we have had, a leadership change, with Lowndes County Fire Rescue, and I would like to introduce to you all our former training chief, who is now our fire chief of Lowndes County Fire Rescue, Mr. Billy Young. Billy started his time here as a volunteer years ago. Some of you may know his dad, who is also a volunteer, and his granddad. And then he worked for the city of Valdosta. He worked for forestry. He helped Tift County with their expansion. And then, as Billy will tell anyone who asks, he came home. And he came home to Lowndes County Fire Rescue in a very big way. Chief Green has moved into a senior fire marshal position. He is still very much a part of our department, very much a part of our leadership team there, and we are extremely proud of what we have in place moving forward with the fire department.
Good.
Yeah.
Billy, look forward to working with you. We know that you'll do a fantastic job to continue the work that Chief Green has done. He's had a monumental task, moving us into a full-time fire staff, and he's done a great job with that, and we know now it's time for him to kind of take a break, let's say, and young blood, no pun intended, to step up and continue that great work for Lowndes County. So we know you can do it, and we appreciate your willingness to. Okay,
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Billy.
well deserved. All right, the one last bid item that I was running right by, and it is the 2023 Local Maintenance and Improvement Grant, known as LMIG, the resurfacing bid. Mr. McLeod.
Yes, sir, thank you. The 2023 resurfacing bids presented include resurfacing 1 mile of Good Hope Circle East, 0.76 miles of Good Hope Circle West, 1.5 miles of New Bethel Road, and 3.3 miles of McMillan Road. Staff received 2 bids, with the low bidder being the Scruggs Company at $1,534,014.68. The bids did come in a good bit under staff estimate, so staff did negotiate with the low bidder to go ahead and add 2 feet widening to McMillan Road. The total amount of the widening is $255,453.49 for a total contract price of $1,789,468.17.
Any questions from Mr. McLeod?
Just one, Chad, when do you expect the McMillan Road to begin?
Once we give them the notice to proceed, they have 180 days to complete everything. Once we give them that notice to proceed, I can give you a better date on when they plan to mobilize to McMillan.
Okay. I know that widening is going to be very much appreciated for the bike
Yeah.
riders, too, so.
It would be, yeah. That's looking forward to that one
Yes, sir.
as well. Any other questions? Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the Scruggs Company as a low bidder and authorize the chairman, authorize you to sign the contract for $1,789,468.17.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. All right, we'll move now into our citizens wishing to be heard. Our first citizen is Ms. Catherine Reese. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Reese. I live at 3908 Forest Street Extension, Valdosta, Georgia. I've been there in that home since 1984. Starting in July 21st, 2020, I had left a message for code enforcement in regards to a home that's right next door to me, actually 2 homes that are next door to me, 3910 and 3912 Forest Street Extension. They were very very overgrown, and people over the years, the people who'd lived there, had thrown out numerous things like baby diapers and anything that you can throw outside without putting in a garbage can. It was awful. I called on the 21st of July, 2020. I received an email from Ms. Bates who said that, said there were 2 properties and 1 owner, and it might take some additional time that an officer would contact me. And I said that was fine, but I never had a contact from an officer. On September the 15th, 2020, Ms. Bates said that there were 2 open cases. I believe Mr. Orenstein had said something to her, and that it would take some time. So I stopped and didn't do anything and waited until May 25th, 2022. That's almost 2 years. And I left a message and got no reply. I called on the 26th and left another message. No reply. I called on May the 31st, 2022, spoke with a Sergeant Carter, who transferred me to Ms. Bates' phone. I left a message and sent an email again. June the 1st, Ms. Bates called me and said that they will have to comply by June the 21st, 2022, or they will have to go to court in July and be fined. So I waited from June 1st until July the 5th, 2022, and didn't hear anything, so I left a message. Then on July the 6th, I left a message, and Ms. Bates said that, and now, well, let's go up to 2023. June 15th, I called, left 3 messages, no reply. And then July 6th, I left a message, and Ms. Bates did tell me that as of now, the owner has a medical condition, and nothing, absolutely nothing can be done to clean the home, the place surrounding the home, both homes. And in the backyards, the grass is as high as the roof of the house. And I can't tell you everything that's out there. It's awful. I just get eaten up by mosquitoes. I don't know what's inside all the grass. You can't see anything. I'm very disappointed that it's taken this amount of time. I was told at one time that if they didn't comply and clean it up, which I know that she's not young, and I've seen her try to clean, but it doesn't work. But I was told at one time if she didn't clean it, that it would be cleaned and she would be given a bill for it. That's where it stands as of now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, our next citizens, Ms. Diane Cox. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Diane Cox. I live at 1009 Cherry Creek Drive, Valdosta. And a few days ago, I sent an email to all the commissioners and also to the county attorney with information that other counties are looking at going to hand-marked paper ballots and for municipal elections. I know that Spalding County is considering this right now. Some cities have chosen to not use the Dominion machines and to use hand-marked paper ballots in municipal elections. Now, I also sent information about the recently released Halderman report, which is a very important 96-page report that shows that the Dominion voting machines are very easily hackable. And I don't know if you remember that in October of 2020, a federal judge, Amy Totenberg, ruled that Georgia's voting machines are illegal according to Georgia law. And we've been using illegal machines ever since October 2020 with lots of problems. And the 24-page PowerPoint that I sent you all was prepared by Mr. Garland Favorito, who tried to warn the state not to buy the Dominion machines in the first place. And he has outlined a Georgia code showing that counties do have authority to avoid using the machines. And I know that the citizens of Georgia, for the most part, don't trust Dominion voting machines. Our whole state was the laughingstock of the 2020 election. And there have been events in recent elections where the machines have made terrible mistakes on elections that have had to go back and be corrected. And our Secretary of State is totally unwilling to put a patch on these machines before the 2024 election. And we've heard back from some of our legislators. We realize that they're the ones that are going to have to change our state laws to get rid of the hackable machines. But the Secretary of State is not cooperating, I should say. And I've worked as a poll worker. I've heard citizens complain a lot at the polling location where I worked. And we want to stop using the machines. And so I wonder if the county attorney has looked at the information that I sent, and that if you all have looked at the 24-page PowerPoint to study the law, and would you consider using paper ballots in the county? We're going to have to start going to a secure system soon. I don't know how long the citizens are going to put up with this. And our local government is closest to the people, and I think this is where we need to start making a change. And if it's within your power to do that, I would ask that you start taking the steps to unplug Georgia from the Dominion voting machines. And I hope that you all have taken the time to read the Halderman report and realize how insecure our voting system is, and take it very seriously. Would I get a written response from the attorney? I had requested a response. Will I get that in writing?
No, ma'am, tonight, we won't respond tonight.
Okay. Thank you.
So thank you. All right, Miss Cherry Whitney, please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, sir. I have something I'd like to give to everybody up here.
You would please give it to Miss Lubbern.
My name is Cherie Whitney. I live at 4513 Water Oak Trail in Lake Park, Georgia. And I'm going to read you something. This is from Mr. Halderman in response to Secretary of State Raffensperger's decision not to update the security of our election equipment. The technical findings leave Georgia voters with a greatly diminished grounds to be confident that the votes they cast on the ICX BMD are secure. Their votes will be counted correctly, or that any future elections conducted using Georgia's universal BMD system will be reasonably secure from attack and produce correct results. No grand conspiracies would be necessary to commit large-scale fraud, but rather only moderate technical skills of the kind attackers who are likely to target Georgia's elections already possess. Unfortunately, even if such an attack never comes, the fact that Georgia's BMDs are so vulnerable is all but certain to be exploited by partisan actors to suppress voter participation and cast doubt on the legitimacy of election results. So, the Constitution says that the legislature is in charge of prescribing where and when and how our elections are to be held. And in OCGA 212-281, voting by paper ballot when use of voting equipment is impossible or impracticable is the solution that is offered in the election code. Impossible is defined by incapable of being or occurring, felt to be incapable or being done, attained, or fulfilled. Impracticable is defined as impassable, not practicable, incapable of being performed or accomplished by the means employed. Haldeman indicates that all of those things are occurring right now in our election system. To not secure the upcoming election or the 2020 election, all that has to happen before December of this year. We have to make a decision. I am also a poll manager for Lowndes County, and I have heard many voters say to me, is my vote going to count? Is my vote going to count? Are these machines doing what they're supposed to do? And we are instructed by Ms. Cox to say, please vote, please vote. I don't know what goes inside that box any more than anybody else in this room. But I do know that a piece of paper by Georgia constitutional law can show what my vote intends, what your vote intends, and what everybody in this room's vote intends. Lowndes County does an excellent job of gathering all these poll workers, training us, getting us together. We all came after 2020 to see what was going wrong, and we're all convinced that we're all doing the very best we can in Lowndes County. But other counties are not doing that. And when those other counties are not doing the job they're supposed to do, our votes are disenfranchised. Our votes are canceled, no matter how good a job Lowndes County does. So the only solution for every other county, including Lowndes, is a paper ballot, because that shows my intent on a receipt that I produced, that you produced, that you produced. And then when we hand count, we're not asking a computer to print something out. We know what our electorate in Lowndes County wants. That's all we're asking, is for you guys to support us, the people, the electorate, in confronting the legislature with these ideas. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker, Ms. Mary Gebbia. Gebbia. Okay, I apologize. I am the one that will butcher a name in a heartbeat.
That's perfectly fine.
State your name and address for the record, please.
Okay, it's Mary Gebbia, 3916 Weatherby Lane in Valdosta, Georgia, 31602. And I'm probably parroting what you just heard with the last couple of people, but I would like to get my 2 cents worth.
Go ahead.
Okay, good evening, everybody.
You have $4.45 worth of.
Good. Okay, I'd like to remind all of you that Judge Tottenberg ruled in October 2020 that Dominion voting machines are unlawful to use in Georgia, and that we must switch to another voting method that is not hackable, as it has been proven to be with the Dominion. Further, we must be able to review our ballot and verify that our vote will count. In spite of the judge's ruling, our senior legislators, the governor and the Secretary of State, continue to tell us that they have no intention of getting rid of the Dominion voting machines. Their excuse is that it would be entirely too expensive. There are municipalities in Georgia that are doing paper ballots in municipal elections. A couple of them have. Americans have done paper ballots for decades, and it can be safely done today. A Missouri county tried this method recently and saved plenty of tax dollars and achieved an accurate vote tally within hours of polls closing. And it saves taxpayer money as well. Paper ballots can be counted in the precincts starting at 1 o'clock p.m. with the results available by that night. So it can be done. We the people want to dump Dominion before the 2024 election. We want to see what our representatives are going to do about this upcoming election prior to December 2023 to stop this unlawful Dominion machine debacle. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioners, any questions or comments you'd like to make before I ask for a motion to adjourn? Could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.